In an attempt to reduce bureaucracy and take some off of the healthcare system, the SAAQ will no longer require that people over 75 undergo medical and vision tests to keep their driver's license. Our next guest is on to tell us more about the benefits of waiving this testing requirement. Gisèle Tassé-Goodman is on the line, president of Réseau, FADOQ. It's a Quebec seniors advocacy group and the largest seniors organization in Canada. They have over 550,000 members. Gisèle, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
So let me get your take on this. When you heard that the SAAQ said, you know what, 75 and up, you no longer have to do these tests, what were your thoughts?
Oh, it's a change very well received by older adults. Seniors and a lot of our members at FADOQ requested those changes, and this is a good news for them. This is very positive. You know, until recently, drivers age 75 and over had to undergo mandatory medical checks. And this was denounced by many members of the Réseau FADOQ because you know that booking an appointment, it's very difficult to get the results of the medical or, again, an eye exam. It's costly. And it makes the license renewal process even more complex. So it's a source of stress, especially when the deadline is approaching and there is a real risk of a driver's license suspension.
Mm-hmm. And we also know, Gisèle, that, you know, doctors have enough to deal with, and this was adding just extra layers of bureaucracy. But the other side of this that people are bringing up is safety, right? Safety on the roads and accidents that happen. So what can you tell us on that front? You know, I know you said your members had been pushing for a move like this, but I guess a lot of people, me included, my initial reaction is, well, what does that mean for safety? What can you say about that?
Well, let me tell you that in the recent years, less than 2% of 75 years old have had their driver's license suspended following a medical or a visual examination. So, you know, these changes will avoid clogging the health system. I think it will, the medical self-declaration, that this is what's going to be, this is what's in effect right now. The self-declaration form will make it possible for older people to alleviate the verification process for this clientele, which has the fact remind us that there is less driver's license suspended. So it's positive. But we know that the drivers age 80 and over will have to continue to follow the 2 years, you know, the exam after every 2 years, I should say.
So, and that's the thing, Gisèle, you know, I've heard this so often, right? 50 is the new 40. 60 is the new 70. You know, 70 is the new 60, excuse me. Someone who's 75 now, is that part of the reason why this happened? Are people who are 75 now in this decade in Quebec just in better shape than they were 20, 30 years ago?
There is a difference. You know, we have to remember one thing. The ability to drive is no way related to age. That's one factor. And it's rather a question of the driver's health. Doesn't matter if you're 25 or you're 75, you know, it's about your health. And the highway safety codes oblige all licensed drivers, regardless of age, to inform the fact of any change in their health status that may affect their ability to drive. So there is still a lot of prejudice and ageism when it comes to older adults drivers. And this is very unfortunate.
And as we talk, Gisèle, I got a text message here from a listener saying 75 is the new 55. We should be checked maybe at 80. We're with Gisèle Tassé-Goodman, president of Réseau FADOQ. It's an advocacy group for Quebec seniors, the largest seniors group in Canada with over 550,000 members. So Gisèle, what are the, you know, I think you touched on it, as of 80, there's still some measures in place here. But so what are the obligations going forward for seniors when it comes to driving?
When it comes to drivers, it depends. You know, for 75 to 79, inclusively, they will have to complete the medical self-declaration form that will make it possible to lighten the verification process for that type of clientele, which has the SAC remind us. So that's one thing that will avoid filling, I should say, obliging the doctors to I don't know how to say that
to unnecessarily waste time on these tests. Yeah.
Exactly, and take place of others. When we know that less than 2% of 75 years old have had their driver's license, they did not need any medical or visual examination. Mm-hmm. So, and it's costly. You have something to remember. Every second year, and it's over $100 to pass a medical exam and to have the doctor fill those forms. You still have to pay a certain part of the eye drops when you go to the ophthalmologist. So there is a cost associated to this. So it's a good gesture that the SAC has taken with regards to elderly at this moment.
Now, in your role as president of Réseau FADOQ, let me just ask you about the flip side here on when there are people, seniors, who really shouldn't be driving, but they, you know what, it's such a sign of independence to have your driver's license. What do you do any work on for seniors on how to recognize when it really is time for them to give up driving?
You see, there is the family, and they are approached. There is a way to do this. If mom or dad, maybe needs to look at it again. A child can approach their parent and see and have a conversation with their parents. Again, the doctor, it could be approached by the doctor, because they're followed by the doctor. So sometimes that's the way to see it. But a person with a progressive illness or disability is monitored on a regular basis to ensure that he's still able to drive despite changes in health. Mm-hmm. So this is something that I think will, as I mentioned, avoid clogging the health system. But on the other way, if there is a need to pass exam, I think there is a self-declaration anyway. So, and we're responsible when we sign such a declaration.
And Gisèle, for 80 and up, the system stays the same?
Absolutely. The medical exam will have to be passed every 2 years, and the same thing for eye exam. Mm-hmm. So, and this will be done every 2 years. So, it doesn't mean that the person is not capable of driving a car. But on the other way, it's to protect themselves and to protect other drivers.
Gisèle, while I have you on the show with us, I do want to take a moment here to ask you about ageism. Ageism seems to be one of those last things where people can openly discriminate because someone's old. So I would just love your thoughts here on ageism in our society today, and if you feel it's getting better. I mean, here's an example of the government saying, hey, 5 more years, 70 to 80 now. You can still drive. Do you think ageism, is it getting better or worse?
Well, we're working on this for sure because there was a lot of ageism during the pandemic. We cannot close our eyes on this. We have to put a bit of ourselves into this, and we have at Réseau FADOQ, we have certain good capsule on this. We have some good training that we offer to it could be to different groups, it could be to scouts, it could be to clubs, it could be to seniors or family about how to avoid ageism. So if you go to the FADOQ.ca, you will see those capsules that we have, those training that we have to sensitize the population about ageism in the population. Because we have to remember that the age is strictly a number. Mm-hmm. So you can be 80 years old, but you can be in your heart, and even physically, you could be 60.
Oh, yeah, and I'm seeing that, Gisèle, more and more, where you say, wow, you're 80? You got more energy than I do. So
exactly, and you see, this is a prejudice, to think that because you're 80, you're a very old person. But as a matter of fact, it's a number.
Gisèle, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show and discussing with us. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
That is Gisèle Tassé-Goodman, president of Réseau FADOQ. That's spelled FADOQ.